I've tried a lot of smart glasses, XR, AR, VR, you name it, and they all keep getting more complicated and definitely more expensive. So when I checked out the RayNeo Air 3S at the TCL booth at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona earlier this year, I didn't know what to expect. Let's get something straight. These are not XR glasses, at least not out of the box. What they are is a really solid pair of portable display glasses at a pretty affordable price. And they do offer XR functionality, but you're gonna wanna stick around to the end of this video if you plan to buy them for that reason. I'm Jason Howell, and I love wearable tech. So RayNeo sent me these glasses for review. They get no say in the editorial content of this video. So let's dive in. Let's start with what these actually are. The RayNeo Air 3S is basically a pair of binocular displays that you wear on your face. There's no interactivity with the real world, no spatial tricks, no apps running on the glasses themselves. You just plug them in using a USB-C cable, there's actually one provided in the box, to a video source, something like the Homatics Pocket TV that TCL sent me for this review as well. It's a little chunky Google TV remote looking device with its own battery, kind of cool in its own right. But you can also plug into a phone that supports DisplayPort via USB-C, like the Galaxy S24 Ultra here. That launches directly into DeX mode, which could be a real cool companion for travel and productivity. And this also opens up the door for some XR tricks. Again, more on that later. I actually plugged these glasses into my MacBook Pro and was given the option to either mirror or extend my desktop to the glasses. It looked pretty great. You can even plug them into a game console. I have the Nintendo Switch and I don't have the right adapter. Unfortunately, I couldn't test this part of it out, but if you have the right connections, you can definitely do that. Now, the RayNeo Air 3S simply act as a monitor on your face. They don't power themselves. There's no battery, no processor inside. So if you're not plugged into something, you're not going to see anything. Now, comfort is always a big question with wearable tech. And the Air 3S at 78 grams is actually light enough that I can kind of forget they're on my face, at least for a while. The nose grippers are squishy, they're also pliable, and the little arms have a bit of a firm spring to them, so you can bend them just a little bit to get a better fit. I definitely had to do that. I did notice some pressure behind my ears over time, and also a bit of warmth at the temples after about 15 minutes. These are little displays on your face after all, so there will be a little warmth there. I call it hot face. Definitely felt that with these glasses after a while. If you're planning a movie marathon, you're probably gonna get that hot face factor as well. The arms flex out for bigger heads, and overall, I feel like they're durable enough. And real quick, before we get to image quality, which is like the marquee feature of these glasses, if you like wearable reviews like this, hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps. All right, back to the review. Image quality is where these glasses shine. The micro-OLED displays show 1080p quality inside that's sharp. It's vibrant with colors that look very pleasant to my eyes. Surprisingly, I could actually read very small text with no problem on that screen. Now that screen floats in front of you, and depending on your environment, you're either looking at a 201-inch display when you're sitting in a living room setting, you've got more space to spread out in, or I found it to be about the height of my 35-inch ultra-wide monitor that sits in front of me at this desk right here, though not quite as wide. So it's kind of contextually speaking a larger or a smaller monitor. It's the same size monitor and screen when you're looking through the glasses. It just depends on what room you're in that determines kind of how big it feels to you in that moment. Now, one downside is the amount of fading at the corners and also at the top, depending on how the glasses sat on my nose. I found myself constantly wanting to push the glasses up the bridge of my nose to see more of the screen, but that fade never completely went away. And with laptop content, that actually became a bit limiting at times. Some of the information that I wanted to see was slightly faded out and it got a little annoying. Also, the higher the glasses sit on the bridge of my nose, the more light leakage there is at the bottom. So it's a little bit of a balancing act. And speaking of light, the lenses have a sunglasses tint to them. So they darken your view outside of the glasses, but they don't fully block out the world. So indoors, even in average lighting, I'd say the display looks really great. Outdoors, Ambient light just tends to flood in from all sides and from the bottom. You know, especially in the sun, it makes it really hard to focus on the content on the screen. These are definitely best used indoors, and better yet, you probably get the best results if you're in a dim room. As for controls, pretty simple. On the right arm, brightness controls, volume and menu on the left arm. And you can actually switch between 60 Hertz and 120 Hertz refresh rates. And I definitely tested both of these out, 120 Hertz being noticeably smoother. And there are 4 color modes as well: standard, game, movie, and eye protection mode, which offer varied color tints. Honestly, I stuck with standard. I was pretty happy with that. There's also Whisper Mode 2.0. This is meant to make the speakers bleed a bit less into the room for quiet moments. So say you happen to be in bed and you're watching on these glasses while your partner sleeps, that sort of thing. You don't want to wake them up. I find that in practice, basically what it does is it cuts down on high frequencies to do this, and I'd say the effect is marginal. These rounded toolbars instead of it being a flat square, and give you a better sense of when you need to tap on that versus this. These aren't bone conduction speakers, so if you're in a quiet room, people nearby are going to hear what you're watching unless you use Bluetooth earbuds with your source device. Whisper mode helps, but privacy is definitely a big consideration here. Now I was excited to test out 3D video content, and you can do that with these glasses. You can trigger 3D mode on the glasses with a quick button combo. It's just the brightness up and the volume up buttons tapped together. I was holding them down, that doesn't work. You got to tap them real quick in order to get it to work. This works specifically with side-by-side 3D content, and yes, it totally works, but obviously the quality really depends on your source file. YouTube's 3D samples can be a little hit and miss, but my local high-res file of Avatar and side-by-side 3D was impeccable in these lenses. Now, I promised that I would talk a little about why these aren't true XR glasses, at least by default. RayNeo does offer an app through their site that needs to be sideloaded outside of the Google Play Store. It's called RayNeo XR, and it works with these glasses. This app brings some limited XR functionality to the glasses, all streaming from the phone. The UI offers a 3D environment with interactive elements and apps, a limited choice of games, video players like YouTube and Amazon Prime Video, there's a bunch in there, which actually just bring up the sites in a browser instance. The home screen itself scrolls horizontally in space, so there is no looking up or down in that environment, it's just left to right. And the phone is the remote pointer, which you can use like an on-screen mouse. And there are a lot of limitations and bugs in this experience. My home screen drifted slowly to the right throughout my use. There was no stopping that when I was at the home screen. Text fields, like on YouTube, didn't always allow me to type into them correctly, and voice input in YouTube didn't work at all. Some of the offered games would install as requested, while others would not. But good news, I shared these bugs with RayNeo. They told me they're working to address these issues in a future update. I will say though that 3D and spatial image viewing was a bit more integrated and pleasing, which was a nice touch. Overall, I'd say that while technically these glasses can do XR-like functions, these are not true XR glasses. This aspect of the device feels very beta and perhaps a little early in development. Hopefully it'll get more attention over time. Now, one word of caution: if you need prescription lenses, you'll need third-party inserts. Now, I used contact lenses most of the time using these glasses, didn't have a problem. But I also tried them without my contact lenses in. Let's just say prescription lenses are a necessity for people with vision as bad as mine. Lensology can help you out with that. Portability is a really big plus with these glasses. The glasses are super light, and the hard zippered case is sturdy enough to toss in a bag. Many times I actually picked up the case and thought there was no way on earth the glasses were inside because of how light the package was. Spoiler alert, I was wrong. Here's the bottom line. For the price, the RayNeo Air 3S deliver a surprisingly good, comfortable, and impressively portable big screen viewing experience. And having an experimental XR app is a nice bonus, but really, this is for those who just want a giant, sharp display that you can literally throw in a bag and take anywhere. And when looked through that lens, these are pretty impressive. What would you use these for? Leave a comment, let me know, and I'll see you in the next review. Thank you for watching.